Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just talking about hitting the track or, tearing up the backyard. We're diving into what keeps those RC machines running at their peak, cleaning. Based on the information you've shared, we're going deep on how to properly maintain your RC car, truck, or buggy.
That's right. It might seem, well, pretty straightforward, but the details, the nuances of cleaning, they can really impact performance and how long your RC lasts. Think of this as the essential maintenance guide you didn't know you needed.
Exactly. So our mission here is to pull out the most crucial insights and give you, the listener, those actionable steps. Keep your RC in top shape, ensure peak performance, extend its life, and really just maximize your enjoyment without feeling, buried in details.
And it's really not just about looking good on the shelf, is it?
No, not at all. Proper cleaning, it's fundamental. It goes way beyond just appearances. It's about core performance, the longevity of your vehicle, maybe even a deeper connection with the hobby, right? Think of it as preventative maintenance. It can save you money, save you frustration down the line. Okay, let's unpack this. Where do we start? Tools.
Yeah, gearing up.
Yeah.
A well-organized cleaning station, that's your starting point. It's a system, really, for effective and safe maintenance, not just like a random pile of stuff.
Right. So foundational tools, what are the absolute must-haves?
Okay, first up, compressed air. This is your first line of defense, blasting away loose dirt, debris after a run.
Canned air or something more serious?
Well, canned air is convenient, sure. But if you're running your RC regularly, honestly, an air compressor gives you more consistent power. It's just more economical in the long run.
Makes sense. Tackling that first layer of grime. What else for getting into, the nooks and crannies?
That's where brushes come in. You need a collection, really. Soft brushes.
Like what kind?
Oh, old toothbrushes are great. Small paint brushes. Even those specialized detailing brushes. They're perfect for gently getting stuck on dirt out of suspension parts of the chassis.
Right.
All those tight spots.
And for wiping things down. Seems basic, but any specific tips?
Microfiber cloths and paper towels. Essential. Microfiber is especially good.
Why microfiber?
Because it traps dirt really well, absorbs moisture, and it doesn't scratch delicate surfaces or leave lint behind. Just keep a good stack handy.
Got it. Any other, specialized tools that make life easier?
Definitely. Cotton swabs, pipe cleaners, even dental picks can be super useful for getting into really intricate areas. Think around linkages or inside tight space.
Like getting grit out of joints.
Exactly. And don't forget a basic set of screwdrivers and hex wrenches. You'll often need these for a bit of minor disassembly, taking off wheels, body panels maybe, just to get proper access for cleaning.
Okay, tools sorted. Now, the cleaning agents themselves, this feels, a bit risky sometimes. You don't want to melt anything.
Precisely. Choosing cleaning agents wisely is paramount. The wrong chemicals, they can absolutely cause damage. Plastics, paint, decals, even electronics.
So what are the go-to safe options? What should we be looking for?
Well, thankfully, there are loads of RC-specific cleaners and degreasers out there, formulated just for this.
Any examples?
Sure. Brands like Cow RC have MooClean, ProTech RC has True Wash and True Clean, PowerMaster VP has Power Wash. These are generally designed to be effective on typical RC materials, and they minimize risk, assuming you follow the instructions, of course. Investing in these can definitely save you some headaches.
Sounds like the safest bet, really, for avoiding damage. What about stuff we might already have around?
High-purity isopropyl alcohol IPA, like 90% or higher, that's pretty versatile, especially for degreasing cleaning electronics sometimes.
Why the high purity?
Key thing is high purity. Lower concentrations have more water, and water around sensitive electronics. Well, that's risky if it doesn't dry completely. Think of IPA as a quick drying solution for specific jobs.
Good point on the purity. Okay, what about just general cleaning? Getting mud off the body or chassis?
Simple stuff often works. A mild dish soap solution like Dawn and water. That's often perfectly fine for cleaning plastic bodies or gently cleaning more robust parts. Breaks down basic grime effectively.
And when we need to tackle the delicate bits? The electronics.
Right. That's where specialized electronics cleaner sprays are essential. They're designed specifically to clean circuit boards, motors, connectors, crucially, without leaving harmful residues. And they're typically non-conductive, which makes them safe for direct application on those sensitive parts. Plus, they evaporate really quickly. Big benefit.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've cleaned everything. We're not done yet, though, right? It's not just about removing dirt.
Correct. Post-cleaning, bearing oil and lubricants are absolutely essential. The cleaning process, especially if you use degreasers, strips away all the old lubricants, so re-lubrication is critical. Prevents wear, Ensures everything moves smoothly. It's like hitting the reset button for all your moving parts.
Interesting. The source material even mentioned
Yeah.
an optional ultrasonic cleaner. When would that actually be useful?
An ultrasonic cleaner, yeah. It can be incredibly effective for small, intricate metal parts. Bearings are the classic example, but other small metallic bits too. Those ultrasonic waves really help dislodge dirt from places you just can't reach otherwise. Just need the right cleaning solution to go with it.
So while those RC-specific cleaners might seem a bit pricey up front, sounds like they could actually save money in the long run, preventing damage, ensuring compatibility.
Exactly. Think about the potential cost of replacing a damaged ESC, your speed controller, or a ruined body shell. It far outweighs any initial savings from using a cheaper but potentially risky household cleaner. Targeted care.
And it sounds like your toolkit, your cleaning arsenal, can really grow depending on how often you run your RC and where.
Absolutely. A casual user might just need the basics. Compressed air, brushes, soap, maybe some bearing oil. But someone racing every weekend or bashing through mud and water, they'll likely want to invest in more specialized tools and cleaners over time. Okay, gear sorted. What's the next critical step before we even think about spraying anything?
Safety first, and the golden rule, the absolute number one thing is always, always disconnect the battery. Cannot stress this enough.
Cannot emphasize that enough. It is the single most crucial safety step before you do anything. It completely eliminates the risk of accidental electrical shorts. Shorts can fry your ESC, the receiver, the servo, you name it, gone. Plus, it protects you too.
Makes perfect sense. Battery out. What's next? Just start scrubbing.
Hold on. Before you start blasting air or getting things wet, take a good look. Do a thorough visual inspection of your RC.
What are we looking for?
Check for any loose parts, maybe damaged wires, cracked plastic, or just areas with excessive dirt buildup.
Why is that initial look over so important?
Well, it helps you tailor your cleaning approach. If you spot a loose screw, you know to tighten it after cleaning. See a really grimy spot, might need more attention or a specific cleaner. Plus, it's like an early warning system. You might spot issues that need repair or replacement later on. Prevent bigger problems.
Okay, battery out, inspection done. Now, protecting the really sensitive stuff. The ESC, receiver, servo, all those wires, connectors, they hate water.
That's right. A multi-layered approach works best here. Start dry.
Try first.
Yeah, compressed air and soft brushes are your safest initial tools for cleaning electronics and the areas right around them. Blow away dust, dislodge light debris.
Yeah.
Keep it dry as much as possible initially.
So the goal is avoid liquids near those parts if you can help it.
Exactly. And if there's any chance of moisture, spray, or cleaning solutions getting near exposed connectors or openings on your electronics, cover them up temporarily. Electrical tape works well. Just wrap it around vulnerable points, connectors.
I've heard some interesting tricks too, like using balloons for receivers.
Yes. For receivers not in a protective box, especially if you expect light moisture, you can pop the receiver inside a balloon, let the wires out the neck, then seal it with a zip tie or tape. Simple, but a decent barrier against splashes.
What if we absolutely have to clean, say, a circuit board? Or inside an ESC, maybe dust buildup or slight corrosion?
Right, in those specific cases, only use a dedicated electronics cleaner spray, the kind designed for this. They're non-conductive, evaporate fast, leave no residue safe for direct application. You can even use them carefully on the motor housing to clear out dust.
What about servos? Steering, throttle. Pretty crucial.
Servos generally prefer to stay dry. External cleaning. Brush and compress air are usually enough. If a servo's acting weird due to internal dirt, well, you might consider disassembly and cleaning with a specialized TV contact cleaner or very high purity IPA, but honestly, it's often a temporary fix. If it's a critical servo, like steering, replacement is usually the more reliable, safer option.
And that IPA, even high purity, still has some water, right?
Exactly. A tiny bit. So you have to be absolutely sure it's bone dry before you power it up again. Risk of shorts otherwise.
Good point. The source info also mentioned waterproof versus water-resistant electronics. Can you clarify that? It seems confusing.
It's an important distinction, yeah. Lots of RC parts are marketed as waterproof now. Often that means they can handle splashes, maybe light rain. Think like an IPX4 rating on your phone. But full submersion or prolonged soaking, like IPX7 or 8, that might still cause problems.
So waterproof doesn't mean invincible.
Not at all. And even if your ESC is waterproof, it can still get damaged if, say, a connected non-waterproof part shorts out due to water getting in somewhere else. So even with supposedly waterproof gear, caution during cleaning is always the best approach. Check the manufacturer's specific ratings if you can find them.
Right. So just because it says waterproof doesn't mean we can just hose it down like the driveway.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And the source even touched on more permanent waterproofing methods for people who run in wet conditions all the time.
Like what?
Applying conformal coatings, that's like a thin protective layer over the electronics, or using liquid electrical tape.
But those have downsides too, right? Not for everyone.
Yes, definitely trade-offs. They can sometimes trap heat, which isn't great for electronics. They can make future repairs much harder. And critically, they don't protect mechanical parts, like bearings, from water getting in. So it depends on your use case and how much hassle you want later if repairs are needed. Okay, electronics protected. Let's move to the part everyone sees, the bodywork.
Bodywork brilliance. Yeah, those Lexan and ABS shells gives the RC its look. What's the first thing we need to know before cleaning them?
You got to know your material.
Yeah.
Because the cleaning approach is different. Most bodies are either Lexan, that's a type of polycarbonate, or ABS, acrylonitrile butadiene styrene.
Okay, Lexan versus ABS. Key difference for cleaning.
Lexan bodies, usually painted on the inside. The outside is clear plastic, and decals go on the outside. So with Lexan, you're mainly focused on protecting the clarity of that clear outer shell and being gentle with the decals. Many even come with a protective peel-off film on the outside you remove first.
And ABS.
ABS bodies, they're typically painted on the outside, like a static model kit. So there, the priority is protecting that external paint job and any decals stuck on it. ABS is also harder, more rigid plastic usually.
Okay, Lexan. Paint inside, clear outside. Best way to clean those, without scratching the clear part.
Gentle is the absolute keyword. Mild soap and water, applied with a soft cloth or microfiber towel. That's usually all you need. Work top to bottom, gently wipe away the dirt. Avoid anything abrasive on that clear outer surface. Scratches easily.
And what about the decals? They're stuck right on that outer surface of the Lexan.
Extra careful around decals, yeah. Avoid harsh chemicals, abrasive cleaners, aggressive scrubbing. They can lift, tear, fade. Interestingly, some sources mention people using very diluted window cleaner to help apply decals initially, which suggests maybe you could use it very gently for light cleaning around them, but extreme caution, test first in a hidden spot.
Okay. What if we have stubborn dirt or sticky residue on the outside of the Lexan? Soap and water isn't cutting it.
This is where it gets tricky. The sources mention some users trying WD-40 or Ronson lighter fluid for residue. However, there's a warning. WD-40 might damage polycarbonate, so if you even think about it, test very sparingly, hidden spot first, rinse it off thoroughly. Lighter fluid, or even better, specialized adhesive removers designed for plastics like Bob Smith Industries InstaClean are probably safer bets. But always test in a hidden spot first. Always.
Got it. Proceed with extreme caution with solvents. Test first. Now, ABS bodies, external paint. How do we keep those looking good?
Same principle, gentle cleaning. Mild soap and water, soft cloth. Best friend. You're mainly protecting that external paint finish. Scratches, chemical damage, avoid those.
Are there absolute no-nos for ABS bodies? Stuff that will definitely ruin the paint or plastic.
Yeah, definitely. Avoid harsh chemicals, solvents, aggressive degreasers, anything abrasive like stiff brushes or scouring pads. And here's a big one. Absolutely avoid nail varnish remover or acetone-based products.
Really?
Well, one source mentioned someone had luck on solid bodies, but another expert strongly warns against it on styrene common ABS type and polycarbonate. It can weaken the plastic, cause structural damage, even if you don't see it right away. Just steer clear. Not worth the risk.
Okay, that's a really important warning. Acetone, bad for bodies. What about removing sticky decal residue from ABS without wrecking the paint?
Milder options preferred here too. WD-40 was mentioned, again with that plastic rest caution, so test. Mr. Sheen silicone furniture polish or even eucalyptus oil were suggested as gentler options. But honestly, the safest route is usually a dedicated, gentle adhesive remover specifically designed for these materials. Less guesswork.
Any general tips for cleaning both Lexan and ABS bodies?
Yeah, always work top to bottom, like gravity helped carry the dirt away. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
And for a final shine, especially on Lexan or well-cured ABS paint, you can use an RC body polish or detailer spray. If you consider window cleaner for shine, make absolutely sure it's ammonia-free. Ammonia can damage certain paints, plastics.
How damaging.
Well, one source flat out said ammonia-based Windex destroys their acrylic paint. Another said ammonia cleaners are okay for bare, unpainted plastic as a pre-paint cleaner, which just reinforces avoided unpainted surfaces.
Well, okay, so recapping body cleaning. Know your material, Lexan inside paint, ABS outside paint. Be gentle, and really stick with RC-specific or known safe products. Don't risk household chemicals.
Exactly. Experimenting can lead to damage you can't undo. Okay, bodies look good. Let's get down and dirty, literally. Chassis, wheels, tires, the parts that really see the action.
Yeah, the parts that take a beating, collect all the muck. Where do we start with the chassis? It gets fixy.
With the chassis, always start dry. First step, thorough dry clean.
How?
Compressed air. Blow off all that loose dirt, dust, grass, chassis plate, suspension arms, shock towers, everywhere you can reach. Then follow up with soft brushes to dislodge anything more stubborn the air didn't shift.
Why is starting dry so important for the chassis?
Well, it minimizes the amount of mud you create if you do need to wet clean later. And it's much safer for any electronics still on or near the chassis during this first pass. Keeping things dry initially is gentlest, safest.
Makes sense. What if it's really caked in mud? Or it has that greasy grime? Dry methods aren't cutting it.
Okay, if dry isn't enough, and only after you've either removed or completely protected your electronics, then you can move to targeted wet cleaning.
Like what?
A damp cloth with mild soap or an RC-specific cleaner works for general dirt. For really heavy, caked-on mud. Some people will actually rinse the whole chassis electronics removed in a sink or shower. Use a toothbrush to gently scrub. Just going to ensure it dries completely afterwards.
I've had people use Simple Green on their chassis. Good option.
Yes, Simple Green can be effective. A diluted mix, maybe 50-50 with water in a spray bottle, works well for cutting through moderate grime on chassis and suspension parts. Spray it on, let it sit maybe a minute to loosen dirt, then wipe it down or blast it off with compressed air. Just avoid spraying it directly onto electronics, even supposedly waterproof ones. It's a relatively low water method, pretty effective.
Any other tricks for really stuck-on stuff on the chassis?
Sometimes letting caked mud dry completely first actually helps. It gets brittle, easier to break off in chunks. And for really greasy messes on metal chassis parts, like around the motor mount or transmission degreasers like brake disc cleaner, can work. But crucial point, use them with extreme caution around plastics. And definitely keep them away from bearings. They'll strip all lubrication and can damage some plastics.
What about just hosing the whole thing down outside? Seems easiest for mud.
Tempting, I know. But generally not advisable unless you've completely stripped the chassis. All electronics out, bearings out. And even then, you have to ensure it dries incredibly thoroughly. Rust, corrosion, big problems. Plus, some harsh detergents and hose attachments can discolor or weaken certain plastics, especially older ones. Milder pH-neutral cleaners are always safer for the materials themselves.
Okay, chassis dealt with. Now wheels and tires, the actual ground contact patch, where all the dirt lives.
Exactly. For easier, more thorough cleaning. Best to take the wheels off the vehicle. Gives you much better access to suspension parts too. For general tire and rim cleaning, start with a stiff brush and plain water. You can add mild soap, Soapworks, or an RC tire cleaner to the water for more cleaning power, especially for oily residue. Lots of RC-specific washes available too, safe for tire compounds.
What about different tire types? Rubber versus foam? Same cleaning?
Definitely need a different approach there.
Yeah.
Rubber tires most common for off-road, some on-road. They're pretty tough. Handle the stiff brush, soapy water, fine. But foam tires, typical for on-road racing, all about grip. They're much more delicate.
Delicate.
For foams, use a dry paintbrush or very soft brush just to remove loose debris. That's usually best. Avoid harsh solvents. Avoid excessive scrubbing. You can easily degrade the foam. A very lightly damp cloth might be okay for a gentle wipe, but they absolutely have to dry completely afterwards, or they lose their properties.
Some racers use harsher stuff, though.
Yeah, some racers use aggressive cleaners, like brake cleaner on foam tires, but that's specifically to remove traction compounds. It's a specialized technique, not for general cleaning. Don't do it unless you know exactly why you're doing it.
Gotcha. What about the foam inserts inside the rubber tires? They seem like they just soak up water and dirt.
You are absolutely right. Those inserts are critical to consider. Tires often have small vent holes in the rims or sidewalls. So that's air escape, tire compresses. But those holes are also perfect entry points for water and fine dirt. Prevention is really key here.
How do you prevent it?
If you know you'll be running wet or doing lots of wet cleaning, consider covering those vent holes with waterproof tape beforehand.
Smart. What if the foams get wet anyway? Sounds like trouble.
It certainly can be. Added weight throws off balance. Trapped moisture leads to mold, foam degradation over time. Performance killer.
So how do you fix wet foams?
If your tires aren't glued to the rims, easy. Disassemble them, take the foam inserts out, wring them out, squeeze them hard in a clean towel to get moisture out. If the tires are glued, a bit harder. You have to repeatedly squeeze the tire, try to force the water out through those vent holes. Takes patience. Then let the foams air dry thoroughly. Warm, well-ventilated area can take a while. Some people even remove the tape from vent holes after a wet run to help ventilation during drying.
Okay, tires sorted. What about cleaning the wheels themselves, the rims?
Soap and water with a brush usually does the trick for the rims themselves. Now, for the more advanced job removing old glued tires from rims, acetone is common. It dissolves CA glue effectively.
But acetone, wasn't that bad for bodies?
It was strong solvent. It could potentially damage some plastics, but it's generally considered safe for nylon rims, which are very common. If you're unsure about your rim material, test on a hidden spot first. And always use acetone in a well-ventilated area, away from body paint, decals, strong fumes.
Sounds like cleaning the chassis, wheels, tires. It's not just about looks. It's a good chance to inspect everything closely.
Exactly. While you're cleaning, you're much more likely to spot stuff. Cracked parts, loose screws, tire damage like cuts or tears, anything needing attention. Great diagnostic opportunity can prevent bigger failures later. Okay, big dirty parts done. Let's dive into the heart of the machine. Motors, gears, shocks, axles, and those crucial bearings.
Right, the intricate bits. Motors, gears, shocks, axles, bearings. Sounds like serious maintenance. Let's start with motors. Brushed versus brushless. Different cleaning needed.
Yes, definitely different. Brushed motors, they have those ventilation holes, right? Dirt gets in easily. So routine cleaning is important for performance. For brushed, compressed air is your first friend. Blow out loose dirt often. For a deeper clean, remove the motor from the car. Use a dedicated electrical or electronics cleaner spray.
Where do you spray?
Into the motor openings. Around the brush hoods, the communicator, that rotating bit with contacts. Spray until the runoff looks clean.
And after spraying a brushed motor, just let it dry.
Critically, no. After using cleaner spray on a brush motor, you must re-lube the bushings, those little sleeves the shaft spins in.
Why?
The cleaner strips the oil. So 1 drop of light model oil, sewing machine oil, or RC motor bushing oil on each bushing after it's dry. Essential. Smooth operation, prevent wear, wipe off any excess.
Okay, what about brushless motors? They seem more sealed up.
They are more sealed, yeah. But dust, moisture can still sneak in, especially around the bearings at each end of the motor can. Basic maintenance, just wipe the outside of the can clean, usually fine. For a slightly deeper, clean, soft brush, gentle bursts of compressed air around the end bells, bearings, and vent slots.
Can we use those same cleaner sprays on brushless motors? If we think dirt got inside.
This is where you need caution. One source advises against directly spraying the windings, the stator inside. Another mentions using a dry electronics cleaner aerosol, specifically on disassembled brushless parts. So if you do use a spray, it must be plastic safe, leave zero residue, evaporates super fast. Targeted cleaning with a soft brush and careful low-pressure air at bearings and visible dust is generally safer for the stator itself.
What about a really deep clean for brushless, taking it apart? Is that doable for average users?
For more advanced users, yeah, comfortable with fiddly mechanics. Some brushless motors can be disassembled. Usually involves removing small end bell screws, carefully sliding out the rotor. Remember, strong magnets. Keep it away from metal dust.
Important point about magnets.
And note any shims or spacers on the shaft. Crucial for reassembly. Put the rotor in a clean baggie right away. Then clean the inside stator. Can soft brushes, compressed air, that plastic-safe residue-free cleaner. Be very careful around the stator windings. Delicate. And clean and re-lube the motor bearings separately, obviously.
While it's apart, what should we look for? Problems.
Inspect those stator windings closely.
Mm-hmm.
And chafing. Loose wires, broken wires, discoloration suggesting overheating, bad signs. Check the rotor magnets too. Kips, cracks, signs of rubbing against the stator. Damaged parts probably need replacing. And if it's a sensored motor, check that sensor harness. Fraying, damaged wires, needs care.
Okay, motors covered. Gears and drivetrain. They get full of dirt and old grease.
Absolutely. Start by physically removing as much old gunk as possible. Small brush, plastic pick for between teeth, compressed air. If you have metal gears, you can remove from plastic parts. You can use a stronger degreaser on them. For gears inside plastic housings, make sure any cleaner is plastic safe. Don't melt the gearbox. Pay attention to the pinion gear teeth, spur gear teeth, internal diff gears too, if you're going dump. Then, once clean and dry, fresh appropriate grease before reassembly.
What about suspension, shocks and axles? Keeping them smooth?
Shocks. Simple wipe down to the outside is good routine maintenance. Remove dust, dirt, thorough clean, especially if gritty or leaking. You need to disassemble them carefully. Clean the parts, bodies, pistons, shafts, seals, O-rings, mild detergent, or RC cleaner. Inspect shafts for bends, scratches. Check seals, O-rings for wear. Then refill with fresh silicone shock oil, correct weight when reassembling.
And axles, drive shafts, CVAs.
Clean them thoroughly, especially the joints. Dirt loves joints. If a joint feels gritty, Probably need to disassemble it for proper cleaning. Inspect all axle parts for bends, wear, loose pins. Lubricate properly when putting back together.
And hinge pins.
Yeah. Suspension hinge pins. Yes, remove them occasionally. Clean off dirt, grime. Apply light oil or grease before reinstalling. Helps prevent binding, wear in suspension arms. Smooth movement.
Finally, bearings. Small parts. Huge impact on friction, performance. How do we keep them spinning free?
Bearing care is absolutely essential. Minimizes friction, maximizes speed, runtime, reduces strain on motor, drivetrain. Dirty bearings, they get noisy, gritty, eventually seize up. Performance killer.
So how do we clean them? Basic clean first.
Initial clean. Up the outside, use compressed air around the shields or seals to blow out loose stuff. There are also specialized bearing blaster tools. Use aerosol cleaner to flush contaminants out forcefully. Pretty effective.
What about a really deep clean, getting inside?
For thorough, deep cleaning, especially if they have removable rubber seals, carefully pry seals off with a small, pointed tool, like a pin or sharp hobby knife tip. Then, put bearings in a sealed container. Add RC bearing cleaner, brake cleaner, use carefully, electrical motor spray, or mineral spirits. Shake vigorously. Let soak. Repeat until the solvent runs clean. An ultrasonic cleaner is also very effective here with the right solution.
Now, WD-40 for cleaning bearings. Big debate online. What's the real deal?
Good question. Important clarification needed. Some people might use WD-40 as an initial flush, loosen grime, displace water maybe. But crucial point, WD-40 is primarily a water displacer, a light lubricant. It's not a dedicated degreaser. It leaves residue. And more importantly, it is not a suitable primary lubricant for high-speed RC bearings. Just isn't.
So if you do use it initially,
You must follow up with a proper degreaser to remove all traces of the WD-40. Then, after drying, you must relube with proper bearing oil or light grease. Honestly, using dedicated bearing degreasers is just better. Recommended approach. Cleans properly first time.
okay, bearings are clean. How do we dry them properly? Before lubing.
Thoroughly and quickly. Compressed air is best. Prevents rust on internal steel parts. Hairdryer on low or no heat held at a distance is okay too. Avoid high heat, though, could damage remaining seals, affect bearing tolerances.
And then the vital step, lubricating the clean, dry bearing. We'll hit lube specifics next, but sounds like, well, everything's connected, right? Cleanliness of one part affects others.
Absolutely. Totally interconnected system. Dirty gears strain motor bearings. Gritty bearings wear out gears faster. You need a holistic approach. Clean everything properly for overall health performance.
Okay, detailed cleaning done. Now, the critical stage, putting it back together, ensuring smooth running, drying, and relubrication.
Exactly. Moisture. Your enemy after cleaning. Wiping isn't enough. Water hides in crevices, leads to rust, corrosion over time, especially on metal bearings, shock shafts, screws.
So most effective drying methods, before lube, before reassembly.
Compress air, your best friend again. Meticulously blow air into, around all components. Bearings, motor, chassis, linkages, electronics, if you clean lightly there. Really focus on getting water out of crevices, threaded holes.
Then what?
After the air blast, let parts air dry. Warm, well-ventilated area helps. You can use soft cloths, towels to soak up surface water before air drying.
Any heat, okay.
Remember, avoid direct high heat. Heat guns, no. Warp or melt plastic. Hair dryer on low cool, reasonable distance. Generally okay for helping dry bearings faster.
Drying complete. Now, the lifeblood, lubrication. Why is this so incredibly crucial after all that cleaning effort?
Because cleaning, especially with degreasers or solvents, removes all the old lubrication. Gone. Lube is essential for smooth, efficient operation. Reduces friction, minimizes wear and tear, helps dissipate heat, provides a barrier against corrosion. Without proper lube, performance drops fast, components wear out much, much quicker, catastrophic failure waiting to happen.
What are the main principles when lubricating RC parts?
First, always apply lube to thoroughly clean and completely dry parts. Lubricating dirt just makes abrasive paste, accelerates wear. Bad idea.
Makes sense.
Second, use the appropriate lubricant for the part.
Mm.
And make sure it's compatible with materials. Some greases damage plastics, remember. Different parts, different needs.
Okay.
And finally, avoid over-lubrication. More is not always better. Excess lube just attracts more dirt, makes a mess. Thin, uniform coating is usually enough.
Okay, let's get specific. What lube goes where? For best performance, longevity.
Right, ball bearings. Typically need light bearing oil. Lots of RSE-specific synthetic oils available. Just a drop or two per bearing. Metal on metal gears. Need grease with good pressure resistance. Moly grease, gravite grease, good examples. Handles the force. Plastic gears, crucial. Use plastic-safe grease. White lithium grease, silicone-based greases often recommended. Won't degrade plastic.
What about diffs?
Ball differentials need specialized high-viscosity ball diff grease. Maintains proper slip, locking action. Brushed motor bushings. Light machine oil or specific RC motor bushing oil. Suspension hinge pins. Light machine oil, maybe dry lube if dusty conditions. Silicone spray if pins run in plastic. CVAs, universal joints. Need grease for rotational forces, wear prevention. Graphite grease, specialized joint lube works well.
Shock seals.
Shock O-rings, seals. Tiny bit of silicone shock oil or silicone grease during reassembly. Keeps them supple, prevents leaks. And other plastic on plastic moving parts. Silicone spray or dry lube with PTFE, Teflon. Reduces friction, wear, doesn't attract too much dirt.
Wow, quite specific.
Yeah.
Sounds like how much cleaning you did really dictates the lubrication needed afterwards.
Absolutely. Used aggressive degreasers, solvents. You stripped everything. You need immediate, thorough re-lubrication once parts are totally dry. Neglect that. Rapid wear, failure, guaranteed. Okay, so that's the deep clean. But what about, when you're short on time? Still want to do something after a run?
The fast lane, yes. Easiest, quickest cleaning strategies. Without a full peri-on every time.
Exactly. Not every run needs that deep clean. Quick, regular routines after most sessions significantly reduces the need for those big, intensive cleaning jobs later. Focus here is just removing loose surface stuff before it gets ground in, causes problems.
So what's the core quick clean method? Easy, effective.
It's basically the air and brush approach. Simple. First, right after you run, thorough blast with compressed air, gets most loose dust, dirt, grass clippings, debris off chassis, suspension, body.
Compressor better than cans here too.
If you're a regular user, yeah. Smaller compressor, even a powerful rechargeable leaf blower. Much more effective, economical long-term than just canned air. After the air blast, soft brush. Quickly brush away bits still clinging on. Intricate areas, suspension linkages, motor mounts, inside wheel wells. Finally, quick body wipe down. Clean microfiber cloth. Removes remaining dust, smudges.
Want a bit of shine.
Optional, yeah. Lightly dampen cloth with RC detailer spray or tiny bit of ammonia-free window cleaner. Cautious. Test first, especially on painted ABS.
Sounds pretty doable after a run. What if it's slightly more than just dry dust? Bit of light mud, dampness?
Okay, is slightly damp or light mud, you can step up the quick clean slightly, without a full wet wash. Some people like simple green foaming crystal, or a diluted mix, maybe 50-50 regular simple green and water, lightly spray chassis, suspension. Be extra careful avoiding direct contact with unprotected electronics. Let sit maybe a minute, loosen grime, then blast off with compressed air. Relatively low water method.
Any other options?
There are also RC-specific dry wash or waterless cleaners. Spray on dirty areas, they encapsulate dirt, and you wipe or brush blow it away. Convenient for quick touch-ups, keeping it looking decent between deeper cleans.
What's the real key to making these quick cleans actually work long-term?
Regularity. That's the key. Quick clean after every run or every couple runs. Prevents dirt getting deeply embedded, caked on. That's what forces those long, involved, deep cleans. Preventative approach is always more efficient. Saves time overall.
Even with quick cleans, still need to protect electronics from sprays, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Using any spray, even lightly. Good idea to shield sensitive electronics. Cover them up. Compressed air is generally safe around them, but liquids. Air on the side of caution. Always.
And better tools help here too.
Yeah, as we said, if you want to really streamline dry cleaning, good air compressor, powerful cordless blower, significantly speeds things up compared to canned air.
Yeah.
Especially if you run often.
So just a little effort after each run saves a lot of time, keeps the RC running better long term.
Exactly. Make cleaning a habit, even just a quick air blast.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we've reached the end of our deep dive into RC cleaning. Core message you want our listener to take away.
It's pretty straightforward, really. A clean RC vehicle is a happy RC vehicle, performs better, lasts longer, just provides a much more enjoyable experience overall.
And it's not just those occasional deep cleans, right? It's the cumulative benefit. Consistent, even brief, cleaning adds up. You'll prolong component life, maintain more consistent performance, spot potential damage earlier, prevent those costly failures down the line.
So the goal should be integrating cleaning into the routine. Less of a chore, more standard post-run ritual. Even quick air and brush sessions make a surprisingly big difference.
Precisely. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Think about which specific area of your RC maintenance you might have been overlooking. Maybe it's regular bearing cleaning and lubing. Maybe you've been a bit too quick to hose down the chassis. Consider how implementing just one or two of these cleaning and lubrication strategies could really impact your next run and the overall lifespan of your RC. What new level of performance or reliability could you unlock with just a little extra attention to cleanliness?